Hello and welcome to another edition of Entrepreneur TV, where our business is all about your business. Today's guest is, well, something that I dabbled a little bit a few years ago, and it's all about property renovation. I love all things property. It excites me. So when I get a guest in, like I've got now, I don't know whether I'll be able to shut up talking and being excited, but there we go. We will try our best. So Paul from Nexus Construction, thank you so much for popping in. It's great to see you.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me on, Emily. And really looking forward to having a good chat.
I'm sure we will. We'll have some fun as well along the way. But you're also linked with Nexus Solar, who we've had on. So just tell me all about how this came about with Nexus Solar and then moving on to your side of it, which is Nexus Construction.
Yeah, well, it kind of originated with Nexus Construction to start with. We're a one-service construction package company. We had all the trades in-house: electrical, plumbing, plastering, roofing, joinery. So we could offer a really good, thorough service there and not rely on any subcontractors, which meant we could provide a good quality of service. And then the recent years, the solar has just really boomed, so we separated that company away. So we could provide a really detailed service there for residential and commercial. And they kind of both tie in together on some projects and work separately as well.
I mean, that's the important thing, isn't it? Because obviously solar, it is a booming industry. And then, you know, you've got all this work that needs to be done behind the scenes that people don't realise. So having all those trades and skills available is of paramount importance.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we go back to some properties where they've had solar installed by, like flyby companies, and the same lads on the job of doing the solar. They're doing the electrical connection, they're doing the roofing, the flashing, the waterproofing, the joinery. You know, there's a lot more to it than just sticking them on the roof. You've got to look at the structure of your roof, make sure it can actually take the weight. And like I said, you're opening somebody's roof up, so it's got to be done correctly by the right tradesman, really.
It's a bit like they are like the jack of all trades and master of none, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's why it's important to have the right skill sets in there. And you know, we've built up a really good team over the years, and it's the proof's in the pudding now with our good sort of Google reviews, customer care, aftercare, and it really shows. So.
I mean, with regards to the renovations, I mean, I sort of know a little bit, and I know that you can't have a renovation or even a new build without having really good project management. You know, how important is that to you?
Yeah, that's you're right on the money there. I've come through from being 16, nearly the age of 40 now. I know I don't look it, but
well, you're looking good on it.
Yeah, I've been in this industry for 24 years, hands on the tools for the majority of that. The last sort of 6-7 years, I've been off the tools and project managing these jobs. So coming from that background, it's easy for me to orchestrate the lads that we have on site, and I can see where they need to be at what times. I know exactly how it works, and having somebody doing that is detrimental when you work in somebody's house, because you know you really have got it upside down, and if one of those trades is out of line, not on time, it has a huge knock-on effect and can really sort of damage and ruin the whole experience for the customer.
And that's the thing, it's having that trusted team and staffing and you knowing where they should be at that point in time. But also, I mean, I think you probably agree with project management, it can save the customer money when they have a good project manager.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Sometimes going to a company like ourselves, in the offset, it might look like it's going to cost you a little bit more money. But when you're trying to have 10 different trades running on a project, there's always grey areas between each one. Who's going to cover this bit of work? Who's going to cover that bit of work? Who's going to screed the floor? Who's going to bond up these walls? And in the end of it, there's always a few £1,000s extra to be found on projects when you don't have a project manager or a company looking after that.
One of the things that I would say is probably one of my bugbears is that you look for somebody who's a good project manager or a good team or a construction company, and you know what, they don't just jolly well turn up. They don't even turn up to anything that you may have filled in online or even a telephone call. They just don't turn up.
Yeah, we find that a lot of times when we go to our customers, they open the door and they're like, oh, you're actually here, on time to the minute. And that's something myself and business partner John set out from the start. We respect people's time. It's a huge part. Everybody's got such busy lives now, so if they've taken the time off work to be at home at 8 o'clock to meet you to look at their project, or somebody's travelled up from London to look at a big renovation project, we respect their time and we're there to the minute, as near as can be, depending on traffic. But they are surprised when that happens, because there are so many firms that just try to take on too much work and they don't meet the targets and they don't deliver. And that's something we've stamped out from the start, and it's proved well.
Now, you do all sorts of renovations. You do full house, you can do the kitchens, the bathrooms, everything else like that. Again, another thing that winds people up, especially women, is like you'll be having your dream kitchen fitted, and then all of a sudden, halfway through, you can find a tradesman who just disappears off like Houdini. How infuriating can that be for people?
Yeah, awful. I can imagine. I know what it's like having work done in your own house. I've renovated my own house, and even just doing one room, it's a big upheaval. And that's why going with a company that can offer the full service package, the tradesmen will be there when they're instructed to. You're not reliant on 8 different trades companies, and they're going to go wherever's the most important to them, not what's most important to the customer. So yeah, I feel for those that do go down that route.
How much satisfaction do you get out of a renovation?
Hugely, yeah. Especially when it's a family and they've saved up the money to transform their home. And maybe it might be to create an office space, to create a playroom, convert an attic, things like that. It is rewarding. You walk out the job and we never leave a customer unhappy, and it's nice to get the feedback that we do. We get really good feedback on our lads on site as well.
Do people make them lots of cups of teas and coffees and cakes and things then?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Being a Yorkshire company, it's the most important thing. We do advise that they always stock up on tea bags before we start the renovation, and it gets a bit of a laugh. It breaks the barriers and creates a friendly relationship. So yeah, certainly.
But you also take on your own renovation projects, don't you? So you've got the keys there. Again, what's the sort of process that you go through when you've just got the keys to a property and you're going to fully renovate it for yourselves?
Take a breath. Don't just go in there with hammers and crowbars and think I'm going to rip everything out, I'm going to get it back to brick and I'm going to do it brand new. Just take a minute, sit down, look at your budget, discuss with your builder or yourself, really do your due diligence and plan ahead and work out where your budget is, where you can save money, where you can spend money, and speaking to a good contractor, they'll advise you where you can do that and offer a bit of advice from their experience.
And one thing I would say as well, just from a little bit of previous experience, is that when people look at a renovation project, they should have a little bit of a contingency, because when you start unearthing little things that weren't there maybe from a survey, because surveys aren't always accurate, I've found. You can always find some little hidden gems, can't you? Yeah,
that's correct. You're unearthing things. You might be ripping out a kitchen, for instance, and you don't know what's behind there. You don't know if there's damp. So it's always good to have a bit of a contingency. We're quite experienced in what we do, as I've mentioned, so we can kind of advise people. You can generally tell on the age of a property if you're going to run into one of these issues, really. But yeah, definitely have a contingency in place.
Now, some of the more modern things that you place within the renovations, because it's all right having this beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, gorgeous house that you've just renovated, but to have it running efficiently, I mean, let's just talk things like solar. And you can even now put EV chargers with properties.
Yeah, certainly. It's the way things are moving, whether you like it or not. The car industries are investing a lot of money in this industry, so are all the service stations. Before long, most people, in our lifetimes will have electric cars, so you can have an electric EV charger installed for a few £100. It works loads better if you have solar also, and you can see a real saving there in your energy costs and in your fuel costs, especially if you're a family that runs 2 vehicles. it can make a big impact to your family life. You know, you have spare money then for extra holidays, extra renovations. It's definitely a good home improvement to make.
And all these things as well, like I said, the solar and things, you may even have like an older property, and we all know that they can leach the heat. So these are things that you can actually save a few quid on as well, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. As well as being a solar company, we are a construction company, so we see that some insulation can be added to really maximise somebody's outgoings and things like that. Then we'll advise on that and can offer advice.
Now, with regards to the types of projects you take on, there must have been some that you've thought, wow, I've loved working on that. Give us some projects that you've loved to do.
Yeah, there's a few where we've done in people's homes, residential, where you really make an impact to their lives. One which I'm really proud of at the minute is probably our biggest project to date. It's over £1 million refurb. It's changing an old disused care home which has been sat abandoned in Scarborough for a long time, and we've worked with an investor from London, and that's getting renovated into 17 flats.
Oh.
Quite high standard flats, which will obviously provide 17 homes for people, which is an issue at the minute. So it's nice to see investors working with construction companies providing homes.
Now, let's just talk about that, because you also have property investment. It's called Emerald, isn't it? Emerald Property Investment. Again, how did that come into your business?
It was kind of a natural progression, really. We've obviously done this for 20 years now, and we've renovated and rejuvenated property over the decades, and we moved into doing it for ourselves as well. We have a great team there. We have the backbone of everything that's needed to do this. So we thought, why not start seeking investment, bring investment on board, and not only do this for clients, but do it for ourselves as well. Build portfolios for customers, for ourselves, and let everybody flourish together.
I mean, it is, you see investment in a bank account, and really it's pittance, isn't it, with the interest rates? But, just give us an example of how investing in property can benefit someone financially rather than it being stuck in a bank.
Yeah, what we see most of the time is obviously there's very different investment strategies. The majority, most people put them into an ISA where it's locked in for 3, 4, 5 years, and they'll maybe see a growth of 4 or 5% if they're lucky. But if it's just sat in a normal bank account, you're not even making sort of 1%. So
No.
It's like a few £100 a year on 20, 30 grand. And we offer between 10 and 14% on an annual basis. So we have some people that fix in for 2, 3, 4 or 5 years. The longer it's invested, the higher the interest return. So they're getting paid out annually, sort of £3,000-4,000 each, which they've still got that fixed amount of money there, and they're also being able to do things like home improvement, holidays, and the network is just growing as we're getting recommended to more and more people. So
at Nexus Solar Power, we're proud to supply residential solar solutions throughout North Yorkshire, helping homeowners embrace cleaner, greener energy. For businesses, our commercial solar services are available nationwide, providing tailored, sustainable solutions no matter where you are in the UK. Whether it's powering your home or your business, we make switching to solar simple and efficient. To learn more, visit us today at nexussolarpower.co.uk.
So can anybody be, because I think you probably think, it must be somebody who must be mega loaded who could be a property investor, but that's sort of not what you're leaning toward, is it?
no, we offer many different scenarios, and we sit down with each individual and discuss what they want. Some people want to be some of the younger investors, they want to learn all about the properties. So when we buy them, when we use this investment money, we'll take them on that journey. We'll show them the properties we're buying, show them what to look for when renovating. So it's like an earn and learn type kind of project. Some people have just got 20, 30, 40 grand sat in the bank. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know anything about property, and they want to just invest with us and get a fixed return each year. And both scenarios are fine. It just depends what you're looking for, really.
I suppose that also gives you the flexibility, more flexibility as a business, rather than being tied with banks. Because again, there's a lot of tape with banks, and getting, especially if you're buying land and that in particular, so that gives you the flexibility to, do greater and bigger things, doesn't it?
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah, we still do use traditional financing for some instances, but the kind of properties we buy they need rejuvenating, they need a lot of renovation. They might have been passed down to inheritance, so they're not in a state of mortgaging. So it is hard to get traditional funding on them. So we're also helping the sellers out by offering them a quick sale. And we use investor money. We have a good trust with our investors. They can see our decades of experience in this industry. So it's working really well as a bubble, and it's growing.
I mean, I think that's another important thing to think of as well, is that the people sometimes inherit these properties, and some of them are maybe a bit tired and old, and the family is busy. They've got no inclination to do the house up and everything. I suppose that's where you guys can come in. It
is, yeah. I've just recently been dealing with a couple of old ladies which have renovated. We've purchased their properties which they inherited. They did try going down traditional routes to start with estate agents. They hated all the viewings they had to go through, multiple viewings, all the sales tactics, the solicitors, the jargon, things like that. We kind of help with all that. So we help people through the sale process as much as the purchase, and we get a lot of thanks afterwards. We really it's nice to see the smile on people's faces afterwards when you've got them out of a situation, really.
Also, I think probably there's another little side to this that, I've been to Scarborough. I love it. I think it's very nice, and it seems a real up-and-coming area as well, and there's a lot of property there that's being developed. And it is lovely to see buildings being, put back to their glory again instead of being tumbled down, isn't it?
Yeah, it's horrible to see some of the streets that you grew up on. They come to disrepair. There's old property investors from decades ago that have just rented these out. They've done no work to them. And obviously we have new regulations now that we have to meet, and the properties have to be to a high standard for fire regs and things like that. And these ones have just been left for so long, and it's nice to see streets being rejuvenated, and it also helps other people that live on those streets because the property values go up, and it really does help the town.
Now, for you personally, you've said that you started age 16.
Yeah.
Wee nipper.
Yeah, seems like a long time ago now.
But, this channel is also about inspiring the next generation. And, your story is a great one, the where you can start and where you're going. What could you inspire somebody who's maybe watching you today, who's that young 16-year-old who's just learning his trade?
Yeah, I mean, reach out and speak to people. You don't have to think, I'm going to do every job in this scenario. You need to work with other people, you need to work with other teams, educate yourself. There's a lot of information out there which is easily accessible nowadays, from podcasts, YouTube, audio books. But it's a great industry to get into. It's always going to be here. Some trades, flitter in and out, and some fashions and things like that. But houses are always going to be here. So it's a great industry to get into. And obviously, if you can get into the investment side of things, even better.
And do you think this is where the secret of your business success is? Because I see that you have worked in so hard in so many of the different arenas of construction that your wealth is your knowledge that you've built up, and that's how you've been able to be so successful.
Yeah, experience and having that background is essential. Yeah, we see other investors come in and they've seen homes under the hammer, and they go and just buy somewhere, and then before they know it, they've found an issue, subsidence, damp, etc. And the whole budget's blown and the company's bankrupt after one project. So having the experience is definitely key, and there's no shame in going in a joint venture with somebody who has got more experience. You might have the funding and team up with a construction company that has that experience. Do your first couple like that, and then grow and grow. So yeah, definitely leverage anybody you can with experience. I
do love a bit of Homes Under the Hammer, I have to admit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great programme, don't get me wrong, but that was just
I just think that the due diligence side as well, when you're buying property.
So important.
They're just No, I didn't see anything. I didn't look at any information. I didn't look at the legal pad. It's like, oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of hours go in the background of due diligence for these properties. You know, I put the little videos out on YouTube and Instagram and stuff now and again of buying this house and renovating and flipping it, but there's days and days of due diligence gone in behind the scenes, and that's really important.
So I always like to end with a bit of a fun question, and yours is slightly different to your previous colleague. And I want to know, if you could have a go at any house, whatever it is, whether it be a castle, whatever, which one would it be?
You mean to renovate?
Yeah.
I'd love to be involved with the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. You know, architecturally, that's a brilliant building. I've been to see it a few times, and every time I go to see it, it amazes me. The craftsmanship and, you know, the tradesmen that have worked on that are just exceptional. So I guess it's a bit of a weird one, but yeah, I like that.
Well, you never know. Scarborough might find one of those one day, something like that, and it may have been started by you and your team.
Yep.
So thank you so much anyway for coming in and showing us a little bit more about your property business and also the investment side of it, which is something that I think a lot of people sort of remiss. They think, oh, well, you know, I could do the property side, but they don't look at the investment side like you have. So I think it's inspired many people today. Thank you so much for coming in.
No problem at all. Thanks, Emily.